Welcome to SethCraft. I'm currently building a 20 by 30 workshop, and it's time to build a wall with a double door. I'm going to have this double door on the back wall over here. It's going to be a double 32-inch or a 64-inch door opening, and that will allow me to get big stuff in here or take big stuff out after I have made it in here. So if you're interested in this, continue watching. My first step in building this wall is to get the bottom and top plate set up here. So I've got two 10-foot 2x4s put together, and they are nice and straight, and I've got them matched up at both ends. So let's go ahead and get the layout of this wall. I'm going to use a tape measure, and I'm going to stretch from one end to the other. I'm going to mark at 1.5 inches from the end, and that's going to be where my first stud is placed. Then I'm going to move over 16-inch on center, and I'm going to step 3/4 of an inch away from that 16, and that's going to be where the next 2x4 goes. All right, so now that I have these two done, what I want to do is place my queen stud. So this right here, the first one will be a king stud. It's a full-length stud that goes from the bottom plate to the top plate. The next one is called a queen stud, and it will go up to the bottom of the header. So if I move over 1.5 inches here, that's going to be where the queen stud is. So an X will mean that a king stud is going there, and a Q will be for a queen stud. I'm installing two 32-inch doors, which means 64 inches between the queen stud and the queen stud. So my initial stud placement was at 18.25, so 64 inches plus 18.25 is 82.25. And so we need to move down here to the 82.25, and I will make that mark right here. And from there, I need to add the queen stud, add the king stud, and then continue down the line, 16-inch on center. The queen stud goes here at 82.25, so I need to move over 1.5 inches, and that will be the queen stud. Move over another 1.5 inches, and that will be the king stud. From here, I move out 16-inch on center to complete the rest of these studs. Once I've made all of my markings, I can take my speed square and span both of these 2x4s, transfer the mark to the next board, and I should be good to go. It's a very basic layout here, and so I want my longer section of wall to be on this side over here. The shorter section is going to be over here. Move these out the 10-foot. Now that I have my layout for the top and bottom plate of this wall, it's time to fill in the studs that will go in between here. I have 10-foot walls, and so I need to have 6 boards cut at 115.5 inches. The reason for that is that I have 1.5 inches on the bottom plate, 1.5 inches for the top, and the secondary top plate is also 1.5 inches, and that's what makes up the difference from the 10-foot down to 115.5 inches. So let's go ahead and cut those 6 boards real quick. Okay, we need 6 boards cut at 115.5 inches. I'm going to mark these out, and then we will cut them down. I like to use a speed square as a guide to make sure my saw doesn't waver as I am cutting through this board. As I lay out my 2x4s, I want to look down the board and find the crown. The crown is the curve on the board. Each board's going to have one. So I don't know if you can see it through camera or not, but if you look down this board, it's got a curve going up this way, and it's going down that way. So I want all of the crowns to be facing upwards. Now the standard door height is 80 inches, so that's going to be placed in here. Now keep in mind that there is the bottom plate, which is also 1.5 inches. So we need to have our queen studs cut at 78.5 inches to go along these 2 studs here. So 2 boards at 78.5. All right, 2 boards at 78.5. I never have purchased a nail gun, so I'm going to be using a combination of screws and nails to get this put together. The main thing to do is just line up to make sure all these boards are nice and flush. Now that I have both the king studs installed, it's time to get the queen studs up here against the king stud. And I'm just going to be using some screws to do that. Make sure they are flush on all sides. Now to build the header, I'm going to be using 2x6s with a 1/2 inch OSB sandwiched in between. And this cut needs to be 67 inch because you've got 64 plus the 1.5 and 1.5 makes 67. So I've got two 2x6s and I want 67 inches. After a 3-hour rain, I'm back out here to get some work done. So what we have right now is a 2x4 wall, our queen stud coming up. If you were to take the two 2x6s and sandwich them together like this and put them on top of that queen stud, you would have a 1/2 inch gap over here that looks like that. So in order to fix that, I'm going to be cutting strips of this OSB, which is 1/2 inch, and that will sandwich between those two, and it will make the same width as a single 2x4. So let's go ahead and what we want to do is cut strips that are 5 inches because a 2x6 is actually 5.5 inch. So I'm going to take my speed square, place this here, and I can put my pencil at the 5 inch mark and just run this along here, and that will make our line to cut down at the 5 inch mark. Now that I have the OSB cut down, I'm going to place that onto one of these 2x6s, leaving a little extra room on all the sides. I can take the other 2x6 and place it on top. Now I want to make sure that every single one of these is flush on all 4 sides. And now I'm just going to be using some of these 2.5 inch screws to keep all of this together. Alright, just got the header finished here. I'm going to set it down in the space. It's a nice solid connection. And now I'm going to take some of those 3.5 inch screws and go in from the side here to lock that down to the king stud. The header is done now. I need to put the extra boards in here, known as cripple studs. So I need one right here. Looks like 31.5. 31.5. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those. All right, I can place this board right here. Using some leftovers from the previous stud cut, I need to find the 31.5 inches for that cripple stud. Now that I have the frame done, it's time to install the blocking. Because I'm working with a 10-foot wall, I have to have at least one fire blocking in here. So what I'm going to do is install 2. One at the 4-foot mark and one at the 8-foot mark from the ground. And that will give a place for my exterior OSB to attach to, but also my sheetrock on the inside as well. So anyway, I'm just going to take the tape measure here at the bottom and go up and mark both 4-foot and 8-foot on these. Now the studs above the door, I'm not going to worry with those, so I'll just mark here on these and then the other side of the door as well. Now that I've measured and marked at the 4 and 8-foot places, I'm going to get the distance between my studs here. This one is 13 and 5/8. All right, so we got 13 and 5/8 on this side. I'm going to stagger these blocks, so one will be above the line and then one will be below the line.
Okay. What you going about?
I have the wall done now, and I've gone ahead and put some screws down here in the bottom plate to make this easy to stand up and screw into position. I'm also going to use some of this contractors adhesive. I'm going to get a small bead of that here. Now I have to keep in mind that I only need to put it from here to right here, and the same on the other end, and don't need to go anywhere in the middle, or else that piece that's going to be removed will be stuck. So just going to make a little zigzag pattern to right here, move over to this side and do the same. I'm also going to go up this wall some.
That's so heavy.
There you go.
How did I know you'd actually...
Stay over there. Don't come this way.
Dad, look at China's Dad.
And there we have it, a 10-foot wall with a double door. Now I did 32 inch, so 64, and in the future there will be a porch here on the front of the shop, and that's where this door will access. But basically, if I were to ever build something large inside of the shop, I would want to be able to get it out. And I'll probably end up using my table saw out here as well on the porch, so it'll be nice to be able to just roll that out. Next, I will cut out this bottom plate between right here and the other side of the door, because that is not needed here, of course. So I'll be putting in a threshold later if I see fit. And that concludes the build of a wall with double door in my 20 by 30 workshop. If you've enjoyed the video, hit that thumbs up button and be sure to subscribe and ring the notification bell, because I have a lot more content on the way as I finish out this big shop. I'm Seth with the SethCraft Workshop, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.